Hi, Year 3, and welcome to a geography session. So, I have been so impressed with your coordinates work that you've done for me this week, and in lessons, and some of you have been doing it from home. You've really got the hang of along the corridor and up the stairs. So, you've worked out how important it is to do it in the correct order when you're working at coordinates in the first quadrant. So, that's been really, really fantastic. We've done loads of work in geography this term, and we started off, cast our minds back, all the way back to September, when we started thinking about the world and the continents of the world and the oceans. And then we zoomed in a little bit closer, and we started thinking about where we lived, I suppose. So we started thinking about England and the United Kingdom and the different terminology that surrounded the British Isles and the islands and the countries that make up the United Kingdom, the British Isles, Great Britain. And so we had a little think about that. We looked at England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Then we zoomed in a little bit more and we looked at the 8-point compass, didn't we? And we thought about directions and how the compass helps us. Then we zoomed in even more and we started looking at OS maps, not Oliver Smith maps, although that's how we like to remember them, don't we, Oliver? But we looked at OS symbols and OS maps, and we started thinking about map skills, and we really started honing down. So we started really big, and then we've ended up getting really quite small, all the way down to knowing what, I don't know, a P, the letter P would stand for if you saw it on a map. Parking. We looked at Ripley, the village of Ripley, and we identified where Ripley Court School was and how we knew it was Ripley Court School and not the other school that used to be in the village. And we looked at all sorts of different things, which was brilliant. And we've ended up looking at the coordinates that will really help us when you're map reading, if you ever need to locate a precise point on a map. So actually, you've done a really amazing amount of work in geography. But one thing I thought would be really interesting and useful for us is just to stop and pause. I'm actually doing a bit of a mashup now between geography and history. Because our capital city, and hopefully you all know what England's capital city is, London, of course. I wanted to check, do we know how it is today? Has it always been as it is now? So that's what our lesson is going to be, and you can do it today. You could do it over the next couple of days. I don't mind when you do this, because obviously you're all in slightly different states. Some of you are feeling really brilliant, and some of you are feeling a bit poorly. So you might dip into this, dip in and out of it. But it's quite a nice activity. So the activity is how London grew. So I've got you on Shobi. There's a timeline. Now it's 3 pages, so you've got to make the timeline. You've got to make sure you put it in the right order. So you've got 3 pages, you've got to kind of put it together. And it's the history of London. It dates all the way back to before 43 AD. Now remember, AD, Anno Domini. So before 43 AD, there weren't really any settlements. There wasn't really anything in a place that we would describe as London. And then as time goes on through the timeline, things gradually start to increase and build up over time. Settlements appear. It talks about what happens when the Romans arrive, and that's going to be really exciting in time for our topic in history next term. Yeah. So what I've got is a timeline with facts and figures on it. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I can get some more information put on the website on Shobi for you. There might be a little link, a website link that you can have a look. But your activity, your task, you'll see that I've made a grid here. It's how London grew. And you've got AD, I've forgotten, this way around, isn't it? AD 60 in one column, AD 1666 in another column. Now, hopefully that date will ring a bell if you were in year 2, 1666, and AD 2012, which is just before lots of you were born. So you've got 3 columns. On the second page of How London Grew, you have these fact cards. Now, what I'd like you to do using the timeline is cut all of these out. So here we go, cut them out like this. You can cut them all out, and you need to decide which column and where they would go. Oh, so I've got here, the city has replaced Colchester as the capital of Britain. Now, you have to go through your timeline. This is not going to be a rush job. This isn't going to be a quick thing. It might take you a bit of time, so you might do a little bit and then come back to it another time. So the city has been replaced by the capital now. Now I know, because I've done this before, because I've learned about the Romans. I know that the Romans used to have Colchester as the capital of Britain. But when they came in, they turned it round. So actually, if you look under AD 60 to AD 410, Londinium grew rapidly, reaching a population of 60,000, and it replaced Colchester as the capital of Roman Britain. So that one would go in here. So you cut them all out, stick them on, and eventually you'll have yourself a whole timeline of events and facts taking you all the way through to not far off from when you were born, to almost the present day. And we'll just have an overview of how London became what it is today. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's really interesting for you, because it's fascinating to think the London we go and explore today, some things have been around for thousands of years, and you can still go and find those things when you go and explore today. Enjoy. Bye.